which is a challenge for me in the first place with my current technology. So I assume we are live, and that's good enough. As a government employee, who is the child of a government employee, my father, he used to say, still does say, and something that I am growing more and more aware of is just such a good statement. It's not just good enough, it's good enough for government work. The joke being that when things are imperfect, it likely has absolutely nothing to do with the work ethic or desire of said government employees, and probably has everything to do with the fact that governments are almost always underfunded unless they're, horrible, soul-crushing dictatorships. So when I say close enough for government work, I say I do not have the funding to do any better than this. So it's just the nature of things. God, isn't that kind of depressing? It's the government. It's supposed to be of the people, for the people, and yet it's still dependent on if we can have money for it. I don't know. That's a different rant for a different day. And as I have titled this particular stream, focused fantasy. I want to. So I have a great time sitting here and just shooting the shit with people, with viewers who come in and are watching and have different things to discuss. I genuinely enjoy doing that. That said, I feel like if I want to be able to, I don't know, someday down the road, consider growing a brand out of myself, a brand in quotation marks. I don't know. It feels weird to say that, but I don't know that there's a better way to describe what I'm trying to describe. But if I one day want to sort of establish, maybe what I'm trying to say is establish a known persona, so to speak, establish a better presence, I feel like I should probably work on making sure I focus and produce what it is that I'm intending or saying that I'm going to produce. I don't know. It's not something that I think too much on, because ultimately I'm here streaming what I do in my free time as my hobbies. I choose to stream it because I think it's fun to share my hobbies with other people. And I think as many gripes as I have about the internet and social media especially, I think one of the beautiful things about it, about a platform like Twitch, Twitch or YouTube, is that you can sort of interact with and share people in a way that not only makes it easier to find people who have similar interests, but it kind of curates that for you. It does a lot of that weeding process for you. You don't have to go to some social mixer, where it's like a friend of a friend knows someone who's throwing a party, and they just kind of roll the dice and see if someone happens to be interested. It's like it's a curated way to share your interests, and I think that's fantastic. And that's really what drives me here and what makes me want to do my streams and share the VODs on Twitch. I'm not even doing this because I'd like to one day be a famous streamer. I'm not sitting here kidding myself, acting like, thinking that I'm going to be the next PewDiePie or something like that. I mean, who on earth besides him and like 3 other people could get lucky enough to be in that situation? None of them. That's why they're the ones who are known for it, right? Like they saturate the market, and the rest of us kind of fill in the blanks. But I'm okay with that, because I think there's nothing wrong with a smaller channel just doing it for shits and giggles. So at any rate, I'm going to try and be more focused in what I'm writing today and moving forward. Not to the sense of I'm going to ignore every comment that comes in, but more so to the degree of I'll keep an eye on the clock, and we'll say every 20 minutes or something like that, I'll take a peek and see what people are saying. Scroll through and see what people are chit-chatting about, and check in that way. But at any rate, to put my money where my mouth is, I suppose I gotta actually start writing. And for the sake of the VODs, I will just go ahead and do my little intro, which I've decided is my thing now. I don't really know why, and I don't know what it adds, but I'm already kind of, in a way, committed to it. So, with that self-aware rant out of the way, I am indeed Enviroboy. So I still am not sure if I like that moniker I've picked for myself. It sounds juvenile and stupid, but if I were to describe myself, it would be as juvenile and stupid. So, so I feel like it fits in some weird, deprecating way. At any rate, I am Enviroboy. It is Wednesday, April 7th. We're already a week into April, man. 2022 is going to go by even more quickly than 21 did. Although 2021 doesn't count. Wait, what year is it? It's 2021. Jesus, my God, I don't have any sense of time. I'm just going to stop trying. I'm going to stop trying to offer commentary on this, and we're just going to go ahead and start writing, which is probably not going to go well, considering where my brain space is at right now. Hold on. I have a message, and I do have to be responsive to my phone. Okay. It's okay. That was nothing particularly important. So, okay, so I want to try, and one of the reasons, too, that I want to be nice and focused today while I'm working on this is that I had set for myself a goal of finishing this dungeon this week. And it occurred to me that I goofed off and slacked off on Monday, and here's the block of time that we're going to work on today. And Friday may not be a particularly fruitful day for writing, because it occurs to me, I've mentioned my sister's coming to town to stay with me for a couple days, and she's coming in Friday, and I've been sort of operating on the mindset of, like, oh yeah, she'll come in Friday afternoon or Friday evening, and it's great. But now that I'm thinking about it, she doesn't work on Friday, so she could be coming in very early, which means I am very likely to not be able to stream. So, which I could still write. I don't necessarily save things exclusively, like writing things exclusively for the stream. I work on a lot of other writing things. But when I start a little project on the stream, I like to have that, to offer that continuity. So that way, if people are using my videos as a way to sort of learn a little bit about what my writing process is as a DM and what they might want to make their writing process, I like to have that continuity so people can see, how did I produce this dungeon all the way through? How does the idea, hatching and raising and developing and releasing process go? So, all that to say, we got an hour and a half, and I don't know if I can finish an entire dungeon in that amount of time, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. So, we had started this dungeon. So the history of it, during the unhinging, many rifts in reality connecting and intermingling the various planes of existence formed around the world of Zeoria. One such rift formed not far off the Saltwind coast near the city of Bepimat. Over the years since the unhinging, the tumultuous nature of this rift has caused many changes in the surrounding waters and islands. Currents flow differently year after year, storms come and go seemingly at random, and magical radiation has mutated nearly all life within its reach, both physically and mentally. Most overtly, a large whirlpool has formed beginning at the ocean surface and terminating within the rift. So that's meant to indicate that the rift is below sea level. It's underwater, and so it's the rift that is causing this whirlpool, because it's like the rift is like the drain, and the rift is like forming the rift is like having pulled the drain, the plug out of the drain. Oh boy, here. Okay, no, we're good. I'm about to be real upset because I was like, oh, it's no big deal, and then immediately there was another response, like, oh boy. But nope, still not a big deal. So that's what the idea is, and that's what I mean when it says it starts at the rift and terminates starts at the ocean surface and terminates at the rift. This isn't a sinkhole or something at the bottom of the ocean. This is directly and questionably caused by the whirlpool, is the idea. Careless sailors can easily find themselves trapped within the grasp of the funnel and pulled into a strange place caught in between the mortal plane and the elemental planes of fire and earth. So, and that's kind of what, and so just sort of thinking about that, so just to, I talked about offering the continuity, and because the last one was so disjoint, I'll try and offer up a bit of clarity here, a bit of a recap here. When I came into this, I knew very little other than there's a whirlpool that could suck in your ship if you're a bad sailor. That's what we had. That's all I had come up with. And it's been a process of, oops, hold on. No big deal. Scheduling stuff. It's fine. It's good. It's good. I don't have to offer any changes. Offer up any changes? Yeah. No, that is a logical sentence. I don't know. My brain's not working today. Oh boy. We're gonna come up with some wacky stuff if that's the situation. Okay, so I had like absolutely nothing really other than the idea of there was a rift and a whirlpool, and I somehow wanted to incorporate various planes leaning towards elemental for this one. And so, you know, to discuss the process, really it's I come up with just a vague framework. For me, at least, that's like part of the creative process and the creative challenge, is to come up with a basic framework and then use, exercise creativity to fill it in, is sort of the idea. Fill in the blanks. So that's kind of what ended up happening. We have thematic elements here. So the next part, reading, starting, right here. Well, rather, right here. The map itself is a sort of self-contained bubble in which captured parts of the material, earth, and fire planes have been forced together. The strange location has an ever-shifting landscape of stone and lava disrupted by heavy waterfalls fed by the material oceans surrounding the rift. Canyons open up to lava fields, waterfalls flood the area, eroding away the stone and solidifying the magma seemingly at random. So that's where we're at. Now, I have an idea, and we're gonna see if I can execute it. We'll cover enemy type and theme and all of that kind of stuff. We'll get there, but right now I have an idea, and so here's part of my creative process too. If I have an idea that is blooming and ready to offer up a lot of extra detail and a lot of extra productivity, I jump on that. It's a matter of there's always a fine balance, I find, of a tightrope to walk, of being too structured and rigid in what I do and not being rigid enough. Right, so while I do have my systems and my patterns, I always try to be prepared to throw an audible, right? Such as right now, where I've got an idea and I want to go with it. But the flip side is I don't always let myself wait until I have an idea to actually start writing, and that's kind of what this stuff was born into. I didn't have exactly a specific idea in mind, but I knew I wanted to make something, and so that's where this kind of came from. But now I have an idea that's sort of hatching, and I want to jump on that. So here is what we are going to do. First, we are going to go to, well, I do want this open, and I'm going to set myself up so that we can have our working on things simultaneously here. So we're on our donjon resource here, which is really just one of the best things. What was I calling this? For the sake of storing, Whirlpool Rift. Okay. Just for the sake of always for the sake of clarity when I'm storing and filing stuff away, I try to keep things there. So Whirlpool Rift. Dungeon level 4 doesn't really matter because I don't use the stuff that they distribute in there, but maybe I should actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, that'd be kind of a convenient way for me to just like have the level of difficulty for a lot of things already figured out. I don't know. There's an idea, but we're gonna save that idea. We're gonna chew on that idea later, because right now I got a mouthful of other idea gum. I don't know. Is gum a good analogy for an idea? I don't know. I'm not even gonna explore it. We're just gonna keep going here. I mean, just fuck it, right? Yeah. So standard, that's fine. Dungeon layout. Yeah, square is what we want. Grid for the dungeon layout. Dungeon size. We do the custom. So here's again, like I always talk about, I do my 34 by 22. And I am going to want this one to be bigger. Hey, how's it going, Spesh? I do want this dungeon to be... So this is going to be a larger sprawling dungeon, but I'm still going to break it up into 2 sets just for the sake of making it workable with my real life, with my IRL game board that I use, because then I can just like break it into 2 halves, and so that way it's like players can work on one half, and then when they transfer to the other half, that's when we sort of design. So I'm going to keep it that size, but it's not going to be 2 separate stories, even though we're having sort of like a 2-tier dungeon here. So we're going to do that. Peripheral egress, I'm going to put no on this. So like I described, this is going to be a self-contained dungeon. And I'm thinking what's going to happen, the way I want it to work is, and this is going to be an interesting thing too, because I'm not sure if I'm going to go all the way for I don't know how I'm going to do this. Don't know how I'm going to do this. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Right now, let's just get our first half of the map done and mapped out, because I'm thinking about mechanics, but I think this is a good situation for just baby steps, one thing at a time. So I'm just going to work on getting the map laid out, because that's what I have, and I in my mind I have a pretty clear, beautiful idea that I really want to try and make reality. So we're going to stairs. No stairs in this one. Room layout, we want complex as always. Complex just makes best use of the space with this tool, I find, and it makes it a bit more interesting with rooms, because you don't always just have rectangular rooms. You got more unique shapes to work with, which I think is just more fun. Room size, I kind of want to make it small. I want to see what that does for me. Corridors, errant, we're going to do labyrinth. Remove dead ends, we'll do some. Okay, let's see what this produces for us here. You know, in a minute. There it is. Alright. Yeah. This is good. I can do this. Yeah. I am Lord. Okay. So I want to... Okay. So we need to go... Here's the idea, and I don't want to spend too much time just like talking about it. I want to... Is this the one? No, that's not the one. It's my usual one. Tops collection, that's the one. Yeesh. Okay, so it's fire and earth plains with a lot of water coming in from the ocean. So what I want to do, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, is have a baseline background. I'm going to keep it open like this, because normally I'll take the rooms and I'll cram them together when I'm making like a building of some sort. I'll take them and I'll scrunch them together there, so that way I don't have all this weird random dead space that makes it kind of confusing about what's a wall, what's a pathway, what's a hallway, all that kind of stuff. And add all these like weird random labyrinthy hallways that wouldn't make sense in a house. What I want to do is I want to leave it like this, because I want the background to be that of just magma, right? So, and that's coming from the fire plane. And what I want is all around the edges, there are, like, what's forming all of this is it's surrounded by, again, like earth elemental plane cliffs and rocks and stuff kind of going around the perimeter, which are resulting in, you know, as the water flows into this weird amalgamation from the oceans, it kind of flows off those canyons and results in different channels being formed, which is what the land is, right? So you're really walking on cooled, hardened magma, while there's other magma here in the spaces. And the idea is that you can follow these weird labyrinthy pathways or in this one, it's open for players to jump around. And so the monsters, the creatures that are here, are going to be creatures that are just sort of confused and are attacking out of fear, as opposed to attacking out of aggression. So like you can see almost the whole map from where you're standing, and it's up to the players to try and figure out how to get out there and survive. And I want to toy with the mechanics, because I want to make it so it's not so easy for them to just like hop, you know, across from everything. I want there to be some risks involved, including falling in the magma. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm just going to set up a 24 by 36. 24 by, oh shoot. Hold on. We're going to set up a 24 by 36. Why are we being a butthead? There we go. 24 by 36. That's just the lava. Okay, so we've just got ourselves some background lava. Although I'm wondering if that'll look prettier. Hold up. Kind of like that better, honestly, just image-wise. Oops, no. .36. 25 by 36. There. I mean, that's really harsh on the eyes visually, but I'm not opposed to it, honestly. Alright. Yeah, it's harsh on the eyes. It's very bright, but I like that better. Just because the other one almost looked like it already had land created there, and I wanted to avoid that. So ground. Let's see, I'm just looking to see how charred I can get the ground to look. I wonder if metal would look. No, not quite. Just do black. No. Okay. Alright. We'll do cave. Though I'm wondering if the dirt will kind of make things look a bit more. I don't know. They'll give it a bit more of that je ne sais quoi. Okay. So now we want to just use our freehand tool here. What am I struggling with? I'm trying to find the stupid freehand tool. Okay. All right. So I need to think about how I'm going to put all of this together here. So I want to make the rooms separate, so I can, as always, just kind of keep the rooms as their own self-contained things, especially when I start adding decorations. So each room is going to be separate, and I think I'm going to start off with making the rooms here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 1, 2, 3. That's the end of the hallway space corner of the room. So we go here, and it goes down. Oh gosh, it's so tiny. I have to look so close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's down 7, over 3, up 2. Up 2, over 2, up to make it square, and come back over. There we go. Okay, so that's one of our rooms. I actually already like this. I think that's going to cut down on the harshness and the brightness, and I think it's going to really, just the look of the map, I'm really pleased with how this is visually appearing already, because I love the idea of just this, even looking at the image of this, feeling hot and uncomfortable, right? Because this is part fire plane, this weird location that we find ourselves in. There we go. Oh yeah, I'm already all about this. This is already going to be cool. This is going to be cool. As long as I can execute this, this is going to be cool. So we come up here, and that's going to match with that, and go down. There we go. Alright, and then the room number 5 comes up there, 3. Is that 5 over? Yeah, 5, 3. Whoops, 5. Okay. There we go. Hey, Welkins. I remember we went over how to pronounce it, but I always get it wrong. At any rate, to your question, am I using the paid or the free version? I'm using the paid version that I got off Steam. Assuming you're referring to Dungeon Painter Studio. I'm using the paid version of the program on Steam. But an important part of that is I use assets that I find on the Steam Workshop that people have created. So there are free elements that I'm using, but the program itself, I'm using the paid one. And it's been, I will say there's a learning curve with this program. And that might be part of what you're running into. There's a definitely, it's not always inherently intuitive how to achieve certain things that you might be trying to do with it. It definitely took me a lot of time to get used to it and figure out how to use it smoothly and cohesively with what I was trying to create. So yeah, so that could be part of it. It definitely takes some work to understand what the different keystrokes are intended to do, what the different hotkeys are, how you're supposed to achieve this, that, or the other look with things. It takes some exploration and experimentation. That said, too, it might just be that this program doesn't work for you. There are a lot of different tools, and I think people tend to, even beyond D&D stuff, I think people tend to, when they have a tool that works for them, speak of that tool in terms of, definitive. Like they try to act like it's objectively good rather than subjectively good. But I think the fact is there are a lot of tools, all of them sort of feel different and will achieve different things. So it might be a matter of finding a different tool, a different resource that works better for you. And I think from what I've seen, there are a lot that will offer at least a free trial. So hopefully you can experiment with things without having to drop a whole lot of dough to figure out what works for you. But that would be my suggestion, is play with it a little bit, play with this tool a little bit, and see if it's just a matter of it being clumsy and uncomfortable because it's new, or if it's just not going to work. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I know this tool works for other people, but it's just not doing it for me, and go find something else. I mean, there's so many awesome tools. In fact, I have my eye on a couple different tools that I'm considering when I'm not on stream, so that way I don't waste stream time farting around and not actually doing any writing or anything, even though I've done that plenty too. I'm considering switching to other, or at least trying out some other tools, because there's always different tools, and all of them have different strengths and weaknesses. Not necessarily things that they do that others don't do, but different ones will do certain tasks better or worse. And I think in some situations, it's almost a trade-off, where to make it really smooth doing this thing, sometimes that makes it clunky to do that other thing. And so I think it's all a matter of preference and about what your goals are. So yeah, I would definitely just keep practicing, and also but also exploring different tools. I think one of the things that I think is always a good idea is try everything to find what works for you, because there are very few things in this world in general that are objectively true for everyone always. Opinions and preferences play a big role in just about every part of our life, and when it's something like what tool works best for you, then you're only doing yourself a disservice to try and limit yourself to what this, that, or the other person says works for them. Don't take my word as the end all be all, because I'm a dumbass. So it's just, you're just setting yourself up for depression and failure at that point in time. I'm just gonna label the rooms here just to kind of keep them make it easy to organize and keep them straight once I start adding decorations. Although I think this was going to be a pretty decoration minimal, pretty decoration minimal dungeon, so to speak. This is room 5. Yeah, I want this room to be. Oh, dang, why do I keep doing that? See, like just there, that's a good example of how it's kind of clumsy and it takes some time to really figure it out. It's definitely taken me a handful of dungeons to get to the point where I'm kind of intuitively understanding how this works, how the system works. And even with that said, there are a lot of things that I can't do, or things that that I'm bad at doing and accidentally do, that probably aren't as bad as I think they are. I'm just unaware of what the easy, obvious solution is. That's room 4. Neat. Okay. So that gives us our layout there for our rooms. What's this? Oh, that's the lava background. Okay, I'm just gonna rename that so it's a bit more obvious here. Lava. Floor is lava. That's basically what this dungeon is gonna turn into, a big old game of the floor is lava. Which actually sounds kind of fucking awesome. I'd play that. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. Take it back. That's not a joke. That's a genuine wish. Man, I miss games like that. You know, I was thinking about it. I don't remember. What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, I accidentally. I was thinking about that the other day. I miss games like you would play in. They would always have you play, you know, games in elementary school when, you know, you only had like 5 minutes left until it was time to get on the bus, so the teacher didn't want to bother actually making you do anything, so you would just play like these silly little games. I miss those days, man. Like, I wish they would do that type of crap at jobs, and like you could just, you know, it's like getting towards the end of the workday and everyone's burnt out. It's like 4:45. You're getting close to the end of the workday, and everyone's just like, no one's focused, and so the boss just comes in and is like, all right, you sons of bitches, we're going out and we're gonna play kickball for 20 minutes before we all go home. That should be awesome. Oh, so how come the floor is lava? So what's happening with the whirlpool is actually something that should be like the whirlpool is itself a result of a rift, an planar rift between the material plane and a couple of the different elemental planes. So what's happening is the dungeon is, once you get sucked into the whirlpool, probably by being bad at sailing, or rather just getting stuck in the whirlpool vortex there, you get sucked in and brought to this weird sort of interdimensional space is the idea. And so this interdimensional space is sort of between earth plane, fire plane, and material plane. So the lava is the result of the fire plane, and the way I'm going to design it is going around the perimeter, just like it's going to be more so for flavor, but going around the perimeter are tall cliffs and canyons from the earth plane, and then there's water coming from the ocean, the water that's getting sucked in, and that's part of the whirlpool. The water that's getting sucked in is what's causing the lava to cool and cause all of these little lava platforms. So it's like it's gonna turn into just like a very thematic game element type of dungeon. But I mean, you know, who doesn't like that from time to time? Am I right? All right, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. Go there. Go there. Yep. Oh gosh, see, this is where it gets. This is the one thing with this tool. Trying to keep track of where I am when it automatically finishes it like it does, so that you always have that like weird big swath of stuff that will eventually go away, but it's like just floating there. Ugh. Gosh. So there's an example of something that I definitely agree is less than perfect about this program. I'm just trying to make sure I don't accidentally. I've accidentally, when using this tool, trapped myself into situations where I inadvertently added a bit too much, or rather was trying to build something. I had like a hole in the center of it, and because would only do the perimeter, all that hole would be filled in. and there wasn't a good way to delete that once it was already there. That's one thing that I'm not a super fan of regarding this program. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm attentive to that and careful about it. We're going out 2 past. That one's going 9 up 1 over 2 up 1 over 2. Goes and terminates at the same. Okay, alright. So one of the things that I do for this system, this approach that I have of recreating these maps here, is I look for like corners and edges of stuff that I've already made to judge distances rather than always counting, and that definitely streamlines the process a bit here, and it can help make sure that, and like actually sometimes it bails me out of oopsies where I've like accidentally, you know, situations where I accidentally overshot something you know, early on in the process of like organizing the rooms, and if I use the rooms, then it's like rather than having to recreate everything that I already did, I can just like, oh well, you know, even though on the map it's 5 squares down, it's supposed to go to the end of this room, and I put that at 6 squares down, so we'll just go 6 and it'll all balance out. So you can kind of like bail yourself out of little snafus that way. It's the lazy way of fixing a mistake, pretending like it wasn't a mistake. And if there's one thing that can be said about me, it's that I will take the easy way when I am able to. That's not true at all. I make things harder for myself all the time. I guess it depends on the subject. Some subjects I'm very particular about, and other subjects I just don't give a damn. It really depends on what we're talking about. What do you know? What do you know? Something about me, a human being, is complex and with nuance. You know, who would have thought humans could be complex and nuanced? That's not what I've learned from watching politics. I'm supposed to believe that all people are simple and either good or evil based on what they believe in. Oh man, I should stray away from that rant. That's not a rant we need to hash out today. Whoopsie. No, we don't want that. So this is like the tedious part. See, this is the part. This is why I start going on stupid, completely unrelated to anything rants that no one wants to hear. It's because this part gets tedious and I get bored. So just try to fill up the dead space with me just fucking talking about stuff that I really do not have the expertise to discuss. I mean, I barely know enough about my profession to talk about it like an intelligent human being. That goes up 2. There we go. Go down. Boom. Bada bing. Bada boom. Bada boom. Whoops. Bada boom. There we go. There we go. Yeah, definitely keep me posted on what you find that works for you. One of the things that's been limiting to me too, and one of the reasons why I'm thinking about experimenting with a few other tools and resources for, particularly for map making, but for DMing in general too, is I am to a degree limited by the technology available to me, namely my poor aging computer here. And so now that I've got a new computer on the way, allegedly it's been shipped. I have yet to receive the tracking information, so I'm wondering if that just means they've packaged it and it's waiting for pickup by, you know, whatever service is delivering it or something like that. But it should be shipped. I'm still hopeful that I might get it this coming weekend. But without tracking information, you know, every day that we go without tracking information is like another day deep of like, you know, oh, is it sitting in a warehouse or is it actually being shipped? Either way, I do have my new computer on the way, and so with new computer comes new capabilities, and so that's kind of, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Can I unclick it? Good. You know, and so once I have access to sort of, nope. See, I did it. I done did it. I want to make these. Whoops. Okay, I see. So this one's always going to keep them in reference. So I guess what I want to do actually then is just take these rooms and slide them up. I'm trying to get everything blocked up by rooms versus hallways, so that way then it can be easy for me to group the hallways together is really what I'm trying to get to. That's the point I'm trying to get to, so that way I can just have like, because I'm done with the hallways. I don't need the hallways to be separated and isolated like I do the rooms. So we can just get these halls and we can group them all together. We can call these hallways. Oops. Hallways. always act like you know what you're doing. You just described the entire the like single most important bit of advice, or rather the single most important mentality to my professional success so far, and that is the concept of fake it till you make it. I mean, you've got it right. You don't want to lie about anything, certainly. But I have found great success by really what's a more accurate way is I'm someone who makes sure to learn. Like I try to make sure I'm always learning by doing. I don't let myself feel intimidated by a lack of experience to avoid doing something or avoid discussing something or avoid approaching something. And the trick is to have the humility, the humility to recognize when you're out of your league or when you have been or need to be corrected. And that's the big thing for me, is I'll discuss anything, but I am 100% willing to defer to someone who has more expertise than me on any given subject. I think that's kind of the key, or rather it is a key in a lot of those types of situations. So okay, so we've got this part here, and what I think I want to do, because I wanted to make, I'm gonna make two. So this is supposed to be like a two dungeon set, so to speak. Like, because I've got my 10-room system that I use, and this one is going to be ultimately 20 rooms, is what I wanna get to, and so I normally, like what I've been doing is doing like different stories to things, like we did in the manor. But this one I want it to be sprawling, even though that's going to make it much bigger and more unwieldy for my IRL mapping system that I use, where it's just like a big giant poster board. If it gets too big, it's too unwieldy. I can't really fit it in there. But I'm going to go ahead and suspend my typical approach of being too much of a wuss to do it. And I'm going to... Can I extend this? No, I can only move it and ruin everything that I've already done. Wonderful. Alright, well, we'll just put you back there then, buddy. So I want to map that second chunk. I'm going to do it right there. And I kind of want to leave it so that the two chunks don't connect, so that players have to figure out a way to get across there if they want to see the whole map. Because this whole map is going to be open, right? This one isn't. It's not rooms with walls. These are all just like platforms formed by the flowing of water, cooling the magma, and forming just like narrow stone pathways and patches of stone and stuff. And so it's like, I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to have an aesthetic of like just waterfalls from the heavens coming down and landing on all of these big rooms. It's just what is creating the larger platforms, and then as the water kind of flows out, and that's what causes these sort of winding and irregular pathways. No, it's hallways, actually pathways. It's the hallways that are in quotations. Why am I so obsessive that I'm sitting here correcting my grammar on an air quote? Jeez. Good lordy. At any rate, it's kind of a cool aesthetic. I'll have to... We'll get back to describing that type of stuff soon enough. So I'm going to... See what I'm thinking about this. I want to grab this now. And so I only ended up needing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whatever. We're going to... Yeah, I don't know. I just want to... I want the magma to only be one thing around there, just for the sake of visual appeal, for the sake of satisfying my obsessive nature about these types of things. I'm enabling myself is what I'm describing here. All right. So I want. What do I want? I don't even know what I want. Who knows what they want in this world, right? I mean, what a crazy, crazy world we live in. Who knows what on earth they want at any given time? So I think what I'm seeing here is we can go like 18, and then we'll just go there. I guess. Man, my phone is blowing up today. Okay, whatever. You can blow up all at once. I'm not interested. I'm just gonna call this one more lava. But I guess if that one's gonna be the more lava, it has to go under the lava, right? Because lava comes before more lava. You don't have more lava than lava. You know, you don't eat a spoonful more of peanut butter and then eat your first spoonful of peanut butter. No, the first one was the first, and then it was more. I gotta let it go. I'm obsessed with this. I'm already slipping down that ranty slope here. All right. So construct. Let's see if it's gonna. It's just gonna give me. It's gonna spit the same one up because it keeps doing the seed. So I gotta remember. There's like a trick to getting it so it doesn't spit out the same room seed for me here. So we go back here. Random seed. I don't remember. Was it just changing one of these things that changes it up? Yeah, there we go. You just gotta change up the seed. Sounds a little off to say it that way, but I'm not gonna overthink it. We're just gonna keep chugging away here. So I want this one to bump right up against it. So even though there aren't any direct connections, it's obviously gonna be it's gonna be possible for the players to just sort of hop their way across. So 5. Whoopsie. What am I doing? We want the dirt. And then we go. No, what on earth? No. Give me my tools. What am I doing? Where am I? What's happening? All right. Yeesh. Okay, so we go down 5. We go over 3 up 2 over 4. And go up 3 and then we're gonna go over 7. Okay, so there's that one. And we'll number the rooms once we get them all mapped out, but I want to lay them all out first. So this one goes over to here. It's only 5 across. Looks like it's going to be 7 down, though. I might not have made it long enough going down here. Oh no, I might have to add more lava. Oh no. Oops, all berries. I don't know where that came from. That's the one Captain Crunch. It's like the subtype of Captain Crunch that they made at one point, where it was like, because first came Captain Crunch, then came Crunch Berries, and then came Oops All Berries. What am I even talking about anymore? Holy crap, my brain is all over the place today, man. This is absurd. Hold on. No, delete this. How many squares am I short? I don't want to go overboard and make too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space. Hallway. Empty. So I want to go to here and then fill it in to match. Bada ping, bada boom. There we go. Okay. Power down. God, that's kind of what I feel right now. I feel like I need a hard reboot on my brain. Because there's no running from American culture, okay? We're like a rash. You think you've got it taken care of, and then we still show up again, and we don't. Oh, I see what's happening. That's what's happening. We need the poly dirt to go above the. Why is the? Oh, because I need to get this plot, and we'll go even more lava. Even more lava. Yeah, of course you know those. Because this is America, goddammit, and we're gonna make sure that everyone else has to deal with all of our absurd cultural references, and you're gonna like it, or else. It's the American way, baby. Sure. We're not interested in your culture. We're just interested in you being interested in our culture. So suck it. Why is it doing this? Stop putting all the dirt plots in weird places. Why would I want it to go underneath the lava, you stupid program? I take it back. I hate this program. I quit. No, that's not true. It just takes some layering. It's not that much work, actually. I'm just being grouchy. Or as I had one professor, when I did my study abroad, I had a professor, and his thing was always, you weren't being like snarky, you weren't being bratty, you were being sassy, is what he would always say. It's like, I think you're just being sassy. Damn it, it keeps being stupid. Well, the lava goes on the bottom. Dang it. Oh, we've got a little baby room. It's just a tiny little baby room. It's right there, right there, right there. And then we can do this room here, which goes down 5 over 5. Oh, this is one of them like 5 by 5 rooms with an overlapping corner. 5, and then boop, boop. All right. Let's see. Holy crap! Tomorrow's already Thursday. This man, time is so weird, and I don't know. Like at first, I thought time was weird because of COVID, right? I thought that the global pandemic was the thing that was messing with my brain in terms of keeping track of time and understanding what on earth is happening with time at any given time. I thought that was it. But I'm starting to notice and realize and understand to myself that even though every other part of me has adjusted to this new life that might, actually it's looking more and more like this might become the new permanent for me. Because they're talking more and more about having us continuing to work from home even when COVID's done, because they're finding that we can still get our work done and they can save a lot by not having to rent as much office space because we're all working from home. At any rate, you know, I've adjusted to pretty much everything else, but the one thing I haven't adjusted to is the way time flows. Like, it still feels weird because weeks will zip by and then feel like they took forever, and vice versa. It'll feel like it's taking forever to get through a month, and then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, where did the time go? And I'm starting to think that maybe I'm just perceiving time differently because I'm getting older, maybe because I'm getting more insane. I don't know. I don't fully understand why, but time is always weird, and however much time has passed never feels like the right amount of time. It always feels like it went by too fast or too slow, and it can be any chunk of time. Like sitting here, I'm looking at the time right now. You know, it's been almost an hour already that I've been doing this stream. It feels like it's been 20 minutes. What is going on with me? I feel like I'm losing all of my marbles. And I mean, you know, if that's the way I'm going down, that's the way I'm going down. I'll accept it, and I'll accept my fate. But golly, it's weird. It's just weird. Okay, I digress. I don't know, man. Maybe other people can help me feel a little less psycho. At least on that front. Alright, okay, we're gonna call this room... Okay, these are all gonna be... This is in the 10s. So room 7 becomes room 17. And we'll just know that that's like... Yeah. Whatever. And that's gonna be room 20. Just add and 10 to everything. Hit the enter there. That's room 11. And that's going to be room 19. Wait, hold up. Oh shoot, no, wait, that's the wrong one. That's not 19, that's room 14. Ah, jeez. Might as well throw the whole thing out. What's that? That's a song. It's one of them old-timey songs. Oh, no, let's call the whole thing off. You say tomato, and I say tomato. And then it always ends with, let's call the whole thing off. That's it. Okay, I don't know. Fuck, that was like 2nd grade music class. I had a music teacher teach us all those, like, old crooners. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks time is weird nowadays. It's just weird. And I can't even say whether it's bad or good, because it's just an entirely new existence. You know, I feel like I just have an entirely new perception of life and what life is now. And it's freaking weird, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. Because there are a lot of things. I'm still pretty young. You know, I'm not one of those guys who, you know, is going to hit 30 and think that I'm over the hill and done for. Age is a number. you're as young as you feel, and there are ways to alter how young you feel, which means there are ways to alter physically, and mentally how young you are. I'm still pretty young. That said, as I'm approaching 30, I'm starting, shut up, Macrium, shut up, I don't want to update you, I'm not going to bother. I should just uninstall it. I can't uninstall it because I'm going to back up this computer once the new one shows up. Anyway, as I'm approaching 30, there are definitely some things about myself that I notice aging. And so, it's just like, it's nothing drastic. It's just, when I train my martial arts and I get a lot of bruises, it takes me an extra bit of time in the morning to shake off that crusty, rusty feeling you get after getting bruises and stuff, and it's just, there's literally no way to avoid it. So I don't feel too beat up about it, but the reason I bring that up is because things like this whole issue of what even is time are definitely, why did I do this? Are definitely rather what I'm trying to say, it's hard for me to understand and know if when other things in my life change, if it's a similar thing where it's due to me getting older and being at an age now where, generally speaking, my perceived as well as physical age are going to be on the downslope, if anything. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Oh, see, now that's funny to hear that you guys, over the pond there are getting coverage of Trump having lost. He is old news around here now. We were obsessed with him having lost, for a long time, but ever since, basically, so as far as that goes, at least my perception, and admittedly, I have been making a conscious effort to stay away from American politics in my news consumption and my media consumption, because frankly, American politics piss me right off for the most part these days. The fact that there's debate about whether or not we should, take care of each other via healthcare is just absolutely maddening to me. So, granted, I go through great pains to avoid hearing too much about American politics because it's stupid, obsessive, and pointless. That said, we haven't, the timeline kind of went, election happens, Trump refuses to admit defeat, which honestly I kind of expected that. That wasn't a surprise to me. Of course his ego wouldn't let him accept that. Trump won't accept defeat. It doesn't matter, and he's not president anymore. A bunch of rednecks with guns decide to try and overthrow our government. They don't do that. And now we're beyond it. We are just so, our news cycle moves so fast. We're done talking about it, which is in a lot of ways problematic, because there's a lot that needs to be discussed about how all of that type of stuff was handled and everything. But we're back to talking in America. We're back to talking from what little news I gather by paying attention to the TV screens at the gym I go to in the morning. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. From what little news I do gather, right now, everyone is still fighting over whether or not, the vaccines are a good idea, which is another thing, again, why American politics piss me off, because that shouldn't even be part of American politics, and yet somehow it has become a political signal for people to declare, based on party lines, whether or not they want to not get COVID, I guess. I don't know. I don't get it, and that's why I avoid it. But that's what the headlines seem to be obsessed with right now. The news is a weird one for me. The news is a weird one, and I just avoid it. There has yet to be a version of my life where I can simultaneously be paying attention to local political news and be happy. It just doesn't, it's not going to happen. I'm either going to be paying attention to news or I'm going to be happy. I have to choose one. I can't be both. And it's pitiful. It's absolutely, it's absolutely pathetic that's what a train wreck our system has become. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. And the other thing too, I will say, I will add an asterisk to this particular rant, and I'll say I am not someone who's doom and gloom who thinks America is beyond salvation. I think America can absolutely turn things around, and I think there are a lot of good signs that we are going to be working on it. I think the important thing, though, is to not base that assumption on anything you see in the news, because the news in America is obsessed with sales pitches. And so, like, everything in American media is a sales pitch. And that's something I will confidently say. Everything is a sales pitch. You know, everyone is trying to sell something. Even the news is trying to sell you, like, views. They're trying to sell you a perspective, a point of view, so that you will watch them, so that that network can get more ad revenue. Like, everything is an ad. You know, and so I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. Just the fact is, everything's an ad, and it sucks, and I hate it. But I remember where I was going with that. And so the point is, you know, you can't base your perspectives, at least in America, you can't base your perspectives on what general public opinion and general public attitudes are. You can't actually base that off of what's in the news, because the news is only going to give you the extremes. It's only going to give you the sensational stuff. And so, like, for me, what gives me hope in America is what I see when I interact with people. Now that the world is kind of opening back up a little bit, and we can, you know, a lot of things are doing it prematurely, but there are plenty of situations in America where there are responsible sort of returns to semi-normalcy. My martial arts gym is a good one, where I was invited back after being vaccinated and stuff like that. But now that we're getting to a point where we can start interacting with people in our world again, I think there's sort of, people are starting to remember, like, oh yeah, I don't actually hate everyone. It's possible for me to get along with people even if I disagree with them. And because of that, we're starting to get back to remembering, like, oh, you know, like, every Democrat is not a baby-eating murderer, whatever they're, you know, whatever Fox News is trying to convince us of these days. You know, like, generally speaking, you don't see that in people. So I think, you know, I don't know. I have hope. I think it's going to be a frustrating, painful route to sort of recover, but, you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. It is what it is. It's not only in America. I wouldn't know, because America doesn't talk about anything but itself. Like, shit, I messed this up. Hold up. I messed up that little bit of hallway there. Yeah, America doesn't talk about anything but America. So, like, I don't have any idea. Like, honestly, sitting here doing my streams and being able to occasionally talk to people from places other than America is, like, the best source of anything not America that I have as far as information goes. And that's, like, it's pretty pathetic, honestly, but I don't know. Maybe it's not necessarily the worst problem to have ever, though, that we're trying to focus on our own shit. I mean, America has the tendency to dip their fingers in everyone else's pie while ours are, you know, falling off the windowsill. So, to push a metaphor beyond its usefulness. What am I doing wrong? What did I screw up here? Why can't I get this right? This isn't working. Yeah, I messed this up. I think I messed this up. I think I absolutely messed something up. But I can't see what it is. Because if I bring this up here, what did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I get this little bit of hallway here? One space in between the five. Yep, okay. The rooms are in the right place, and it's only between these two rooms. What is wrong with me? My brain is broken. My brain is broken. I can't get anything right. Whoops. Why did I? That's not. Just pretend I didn't click there. Okay, hold on. So we're starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it goes over 4, and so I get that part right. And we go down and we just match, so it goes on 7. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we go over 7. Yep. And that should bring us, yep, okay. And then we go up 3. We go over 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go over 4. Should bring us 1 past the room. Yep. Okay. And we go 1 up. And then we go over. And now, because we're working on the perimeter, we should go over 5. Because then that's going to bring us down there. Yep. And then we go down over there. And then we go over 5 more. Okay, I think I got it. And we go over 2. 1, 1. Goes over there. Gonna go 2. There it is. Okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Getting it. Come on, baby. I gotta see now. I'm gonna fuck it up again. It goes down 3, 3 over. There, I did it. Oh wait, no, now I did it. Haha. Okay, there we go. There we go. I think that's all the hallways for this segment as well. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. No, you got that. You got that absolutely right. So there's actually a specific event in American history that resulted in our news being such a subjective thing. You are absolutely spot on with that. I believe it was in the 80s. I believe it was in the 80s. American media used to, or at least with news, there used to be, like, literally, it was in the laws. It used to be required that American television, when offering political opinion and political analysis, networks were required. It used to be up until the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was the 80s. I'd have to look it up and see specifically, like, all the specific names and dates, but this is a real thing that happened. You can look it up. They were required to offer equal amounts of airtime to opposing viewpoints when discussing political opinion and analysis. That was taken away. It was taken away. I'm pretty sure it was a Republican president, or at least under a Republican president, that changed. They took that away so that was no longer required. And if I'm remembering properly, that was sort of that effort was spearheaded by Fox News execs. I could be wrong about that, but they took that away, and that resulted in a drastic, severe, and rapid deterioration of the quality of American news, particularly about politics. I mean, some news that doesn't matter. There was a car accident, 3 people died on the freeway. It's going to take long to get to work. That's like an objective truth. It's a terrible tragedy, and it's also why the highway is backed up. Like, that type of news obviously is not an issue, but talking about political discourse, and that kind of stuff, add to that the fact that America has 24-hour news cycles, and I don't know how prevalent those are in other countries, but 24-hour news cycles, you get old people that sit there and are constantly drinking in Fox News all day long, all day, every day, and they keep repeating the same things over. They repeat the same things over and over and over again. Biden bad, Trump good, Biden bad, Trump good. Healthcare bad, guns good. They just kind of repeat that stuff over and over again, and it just beats it into their brains, right? And that's just what happens. And that was genuinely one of the most tragic things, one of the most detrimental things to American political discourse, is the fact that, really what it is like television isn't obligated to have a discourse. They can just have a rant. They can have an all day long rant, and that's what the biggest problem is. They can just yammer on and on and on about the same things, and they're not obligated to offer up any opposing viewpoints. They're not obligated to. And so that's where we end up with these sort of feedback loops. Okay, I'm looking at this. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to add just a couple different connections here. We're going to go like there. Just a couple. Not a lot. Not a lot. We're just going to do one right there and one right here maybe. Just a couple connections. Just a couple there. Because it just looks a little too perfect, right? A little too perfectly subdivided there. Oops. Yeah, there we go. That's a nice big map. That's a beautiful big map. Look at that beautiful baby right there. But yeah, that's you're spot on, and that's one of the biggest problems. I have felt for a while that and this is just from me, honestly. Part of one of the struggles from working from home for me over the past year during COVID was the unfortunate fact that it made it possible for me to pay attention to news. I'm going to add one more here. News media pretty much all day long. And so, I spent a lot of time obsessing over it, and it definitely impacted my happiness quite a bit over the summer. So I'm really glad I've taken, the time and made the efforts to stop with that. Oops, no, we gotta call that always. But one of the things that it did do is it got me to really notice and really think about, what are the issues in America. And one of the things that I think is a problem is people are hyper-focused on the symptoms of the problems as opposed to the sources of the problems. Like you hear all kinds of protests, protesting this, that, or the other politician. Don't protest the politician. Protest the voting system that we have in America that is under attack in a lot of places. And some places it's okay. Michigan, the state that I live in, Michigan, we're heading in the right direction, presumably. We have added legislature that will redraw voting districts bipartisan, and this is something like there's been legislature in place. This is part of our laws. Every census, after the census is completed, we do the census every 10 years where we just basically count the number of people that live here. And once the census is completed, there will be bipartisan committees pulled together, so people from either side of the political spectrum pulled together, who will redraw voting districts. And that's to help avoid gerrymandering, which is basically the cutting up of voting districts. I'm just explaining it in case anyone's not familiar with what those terms are, or just not terms of how they work in relation to American politics. But to avoid gerrymandering, which is breaking up of voting districts, since we aren't on just like a count, we are on an electoral system, right? Voting districts matter, and so they break it up in ways to tilt the results one way or another. The way it is in America right now is the results are tilted heavy Republican, heavy conservative. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. That's not like anyone who has looked at it can recognize that's a fact. Whether or not there's anything malicious about that, whether or not it's just pure chance, I'm willing to let people debate that one. But the fact is it's tilted heavily Republican in a lot of scenarios. And in Michigan, we have created legislature to fight that. That's the type of stuff we should be focusing on. We shouldn't be focusing on, like, oh, I disagree with this politician stuff. I'm going to protest him and try to get people to vote for other people. No. Don't try to tell people who they should or shouldn't vote for. Make it possible, make it easier for anyone to vote for whoever they want to. That's what the problem is in America, because people don't just feel like, oh, my politician lost. They feel like, oh, the election was stolen from us. And there's a certain amount of crazy that you just can't fix, no matter what legislature you put in place. But a lot of these problems could be solved by addressing that issue. Things like that. Things like, there's all kinds of fights over how do we fund healthcare in America? How do we fund healthcare? Really, that's a symptom, right? The fact that we need healthcare and there's all these concerns about it. The healthcare issue is always going to be there, sure. But the bigger symptom in America is how are we structuring our lives so that people need drastic healthcare, right? Shouldn't we just instead focus on making, offering up the education for people to be healthier? So, I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with that rant. Letting myself kind of get sucked into it, even though I try to avoid it these days because it just gets me worked up for the most part. But I don't know. It's all a very complex, nuanced thing. And I do have a lot of thoughts on it. And I think, but like, I don't know, I guess to kind of bring it home and just, sloppily slap a bow on that little, that infinity knot of weird thoughts that I have, just to slap a bow on it. I think there is a lot of hope for America still, because I think, and what I think is the biggest source of hope is when I go out and I talk to people, people do care. People care and they want things to get better, and that's the first step. And that's like why I always talk about at the end of my streams, so I'm always saying, like, go out and just be good to each other. Like, that's the first step, really, is caring about each other enough to try and change things. We don't need change immediately. We don't even need to agree on what the change is. We just have to want that change and be willing to, as individuals, make the efforts. Because if every individual in America chose to be positive, chose to make a positive difference and help their neighbors, there wouldn't be anyone left, right? It would only be people helping each other, and that would kind of solve all of the issues, wouldn't it? So, I don't know. We're going to call that a rant because I've got my map here and I've been idling on it. We've got a map here. And I could add some other visual touches for the sake of flair, but actually I think I'm going to minimize that and throw in a few descriptors into the OneNote document for it, so that way I can describe it, but then the map itself is simple. Because one thing that I'm always trying to work on is find a balance between adding detail to make something interesting, but not adding too much detail so that it ends up being distracting from what happened there? So I'm not distracting from what it is I'm trying to actually create here, right? Like, I don't want the map to get so cluttered and confusing that people just don't even know where they're standing in relation to other objects or other players or other monsters and things like that. So, that was one of them unflattering belches that tasted like yesterday. Oh, God, my life is nothing but regret. Okay, let's see here. So we've got this. I want to put some of these notes that I've thought about here. Let's see here. Let's see. The strange location has an ever-shifting landscape of stone and lava, disrupted by heavy waterfalls fed by the material oceans surrounding the rift. And so what I'm going to describe here is, I'm going to kind of... Okay, so anyone trapped by the whirlpool and thrown into the rift will find themselves flung at random into... actually, we're going to say flung at random onto the lava field, where waterfalls pour in from the heavens, forming pools of stone and solidified lava. Pools of stony? Of stones. Stones, there we go. I think that's what I want. Oh, I'm glad you found OneNote. Yeah, I'm glad. So OneNote is one tool that I will say I think anyone working on particularly DMing stuff, but really just like any sort of world building tool, I think OneNote is one of the best tools to use. I think it is extremely underrated. You know, when you find people who use it, they tout its, you know, they'll sing its praises all day long, myself included. But those people are few and far between. But I think one of the issues is because OneNote isn't really considered a standard Microsoft, a staple Microsoft. You know, Microsoft tools, you have Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and then to a lesser extent Outlook if your office uses Microsoft Office, right? OneNote just gets overlooked. No one uses it, and I think it's a severe marketing mistake on Microsoft's part to not sell OneNote as one of the most useful tools, because it is by far my most used Windows Microsoft app, without a doubt. And it's great. It's great. Like the way it organizes, the fact that these days it comes built in with your Microsoft Cloud, your OneDrive or whatever they call it, so that you automatically have a backup with all of it, and you can load it up as long as you're in your same Microsoft account. I can switch between my desktop here and my laptop and always have the most up-to-date notebook. I don't have to worry about transferring Word documents or files over, although that's that's kind of already been handled by like Google Drive and stuff like that. But you know, I guess what makes this one awesome is I don't have to think about it. I don't have to actively update things. It just does it. You know, it just updates it, and it just the organizational tools, the fact that you can have tabs here, you can make groups of tabs, you can group tabs together, so you can have basically a file within a file system. Same with the pages in here. It's just, oh my gosh, it is such a wonderful tool, and I'm so happy to hear that you're figuring out how to use it as a benefit for your own creation stuff, because it's just, oh my gosh, it's just amazing. I love it. I love OneNote. and I have found ways to, I have started, I love OneNote to the point that I've started incorporating it in ways even beyond using it as my DMing tool. It's just, the syncing is just amazing. It's just amazing. It's like, it's sad it doesn't get talked about because, for all of the shit Microsoft takes for how much they'll mess up apps, like how they messed up Skype and Teams, right? And those are just garbage for video conferencing, and now apparently they're talking about possibly doing the same thing to Discord, which heaven forbid. They catch all kinds of flack for that, but OneNote they did right, and at least in my opinion, that's just my personal opinion, but they did it right, man. OneNote is great. Such a good tool. I digress. So we've got find themselves flung at random onto the lava field where waterfalls pour in from the heavens, forming pools of stones and solidified lava. All around this lava field are tall cliffs that seem to climb forever, encasing the lava pit in its own canyon, almost as though this small bubble of interplanar chaos is its own, is the mouth of a volcano is what I'm thinking. So that's kind of the aesthetic, and then like above it just kind of disappears into haze because it's sort of like a rift in reality that brings them in there. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning, and I hope that's clear because in my mind there's sort of this sublime beauty to it where it's like this harsh, forbidding, weird amalgamation, this weird clusterfuck really of lava, fire plane, stone, and like ocean water spilling in, because we're talking about huge waterfalls that could in theory be damaging if someone were to be in them. I don't think I'm gonna add that in as like an actual mechanic per se, but it's like there's something beautiful about the weird dance between all these contrasting ideas and yet the danger that all of them pose. Like there's not a safe place in this area is kind of the idea that I'm going for here. So I hope it's clear enough what I'm working on in my brain space, because it's you always think it'd be so easy to describe something so that people can see what you see in your mind, but it never is, man. Always takes a whole lot of effort to try and get something written out and explained out nice and clear as day for players. So let's see here. I'm looking at the time, because I gotta be calling it quits here within the next 10 minutes. But I'm thinking actually having finished the map and had a good description there. That was the big thing that was filling up my head here that I wanted to get down. Is getting this. I opened up today thinking like, oh man, I wonder if I can finish this dungeon. Not even close. But I don't have a problem with that this time around, because I don't think it's for lack of effort or lack of lack of inspiration. I think there's a cool start to something working here, and I'm excited to keep working on this. And I think I made some good progress here. So I think I'm gonna call it. I think I'm gonna be done for today, because I don't want to get started and put down like a half-baked idea that I can't remember what I was working on when I pick this back up next time. Yeah, I think this is a good bookmark spot. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Which is kind of too bad, because this will be I talked about it at the very beginning, but I'll talk about it again. This is likely to be the last writing stream this week, because it occurred to me, I got family. I got my sister coming to stay with me for a few days this coming weekend, and it occurs to me that she's coming in on Friday, but it's not going to be like Friday after work, because she doesn't work Friday. So she'll be coming in earlier in the day, which means that I will probably be spending all of Friday with her, as opposed to spending all of Friday doing fuck all and then streaming. So I am unlikely to stream on Friday. Yeah, no, you know what? It's definitely a big fear, man. Just to address your comment here about being worried about explaining things clearly. It's one of the few things that still consistently gives me anxiety about being a DM is explaining things clearly enough. But I found that it's just like anything. Practice makes perfect. You just got to do it. You know, you just got to get out there and do it. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. And the other thing that helps is learning your group. Understanding what types of descriptions and what approaches to providing them stuff resonates with them. Because different people will receive information differently. So once you understand the type of people in your group, it'll be a lot easier for you to present it in a clear fashion. So yeah, keep working on it. But yeah, no, I like your attitude of just, you know, every fear is something to overcome and thrive in. I absolutely agree with that. And I have entire other rants about how a lot of people use fears as an excuse to quit. You know, because we've become accepting of fears, and I think a lot of times people use that as an excuse to quit and not try. So I agree with you. I think a fear is something to overcome, not something to accept and avoid. You know, I think it's something to overcome. But that's, like I said, that's a different rant for a different day. Back to scheduling stuff. Yeah, so I'm spending time with my sister. I've kind of said it before, and I take the time to really explain it. I know everyone's got different family lives, and everyone's got different personal lives and stuff like that. But I think one thing that is universal is whether your family is biological, whether your family is just the people that are around you, whether it's your coworkers, someone you share a hobby with, whatever it is, the people who are important to you in your life should always take priority over just about anything else, you know. And so that's why I'm constantly trying to be open about my sister's coming into town. I'm not going to be like streaming is not going to be a priority, you know. I don't get to see my sister very often these days, and she's a pretty cool person in general. I like spending time with her, despite the fact that we drive each other insane all the time. You know, it's always a good time. And so, you know, I'm just trying to normalize and offer to people and just make it clear without shame. That's going to be priority. I'm not going to be here streaming, you know. I mean, even aside from the fact, even if I were making a lot of money by streaming, you know, family gets to come first. That's just what it is. And because what it comes down to is it's the people you spend your life with that are important. Not that any viewers I have are unimportant, but yeah, it's a true brother-sister thing where we drive each other insane, but we'd also take a bullet for each other. Well, I don't know if my sister would do that. She's a bit of a wuss, but I digress. See what I mean? We always fuck with each other. I'd take a bullet for her. I love her more, clearly. But yeah, no, I don't know. I want to normalize it, especially for men. You know, not prioritizing things like work or hobbies over top of interpersonal relations. You know, and relationships. I think that relationships are what make life, you know, it's what gives life flavor. I think there are very few people who are genuinely so introverted that they would never want to spend time with any other person in real life. So, yeah, I don't know. I digress on that. You know, getting heavy on the topics here at the close, without anyone ever asking me to. But just the point is, the upshot of all of that is, I will not be streaming. Or at least I will not be prioritizing streaming. If it comes to be that like she wanted to stream or something like that, then maybe we would. But I don't know. That's just not. It's not what we do. So unlikely to stream on Friday and Saturday when she is in town. Deal with it. I will be. I do intend to stream tomorrow though. We'll be doing a little bit more Viscera cleanup. Depending on when my new computer comes, that might be the last time I do Viscera cleanup for a little while. I've been thinking about games that I want to play once the new computer comes in. And I'm hopeful that we can start with that next week. But right now, I don't know. My computer is currently tagged as having shipped, but they have not sent me the tracking info on it yet. So I'm wondering if that means it's sitting in their warehouse for the next time, you know, UPS or the U.S. Postal Service or whoever they ship through. I'm wondering if it's sitting in a warehouse until the next time they come for a round of pickups to deliver out. So I don't know when exactly it'll show up, but it is built. It has been quality tested, and allegedly it works. So I'm getting real excited for it. So as soon as that comes in, I've got a few games in mind that I might be streaming that I think will flex that a little bit more than Viscera Cleanup. Not that Viscera Cleanup isn't its own beautiful game. But that's the news I got. That's the world as I know it. You're darn right Twitch won't run away. Twitch is here, and it wants to take over your lives. We have to run away from Twitch, damn it. So, yeah, so that's what I got coming up. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else for me to babble about at this point in time. I'm just kind of rambling for the sake of hearing my own voice. Because if I do say so, it is beautiful in its own nasally. It sounds like I always have a sinus infection way. Self-aware and self-deprecating. That's just how it is. But yeah, so I guess with that, thank you to anyone stopping by. Anyone stopping by while I was streaming live. As always, I will put the VOD up. I'm trying to be better about doing that right away as opposed to letting them back up like I have the past week or two. But the VOD will be up, so feel free to check that out along with any other VODs. And yeah, until then, as always, just go out. Yep, you got it. You fucking got it, man. Go out and be good to each other. Just like fucking, like there's no reason the earth has to be inherently evil. If every person decided to be good to each other, well, that leaves no one else being bad to each other. So just go out and decide to be good to each other. For fuck's sake. You assholes. How's that for some contradiction right there? Don't be a dick, you dick. I don't know, fuck it. Just go be nice people. I don't know. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.